Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Well, I am back with another basketball video, but this is not going to be something relating to the NBA playoffs. And for all of my Michigan football fans, please bear with me here. Once again, quoting Ultron from Avengers Age of Ultron. Michigan football is the rock on which I've built my church. But as we know from content on my channel and just from the mainstream news in the sports world, we don't have football in the Big Ten and the Pac-12 this year thus far. So there are other things to discuss, and I was always a basketball guy before I was a football guy. Now, coincidentally, as I'm taping this, I just so happen to be in my hometown of Buffalo, New York, where I first got exposure to the game of basketball and dreamed of playing the game of basketball and had my own experiences with the game. And this morning, more shocking news came through. Last night we heard about the passing of Chadwick Boseman, who played the Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we just lost someone as well here in the Buffalo basketball family, and that is the great Cliff Robinson. So, this is unscripted. I'm just kind of talking through this one. I don't intend for it to go for 30 minutes. And so I'm just going to say that, or should I say, I'm going to start with when I first knew of Cliff Robinson. I'm working on a book project right now talking about my experience playing in the Yale Cup, which is and was our high school city basketball league. And part of my story is that because there were no men around when me and my brother were in our teen years, there was no one to take me around when I was in middle school and grade school to see any high school games or to see any sectional games or to see any of that. So I didn't know who the players were in terms of Western New York high school basketball. Section 6, those are all the public schools, classes A, B, C, and D. I didn't know who any of the players were before I got to Hutch Tech High School, which is the high school I went to. So that means I knew nothing about all of the great high school players who were playing in Western New York in the 1980s. So I'm going to run some of them off. Curtis Aiken, Ray Hall, Nigel Bostic, Richie Campbell, Marcus Whitfield, also known as Ice Cream. There was another Robinson kid, Keith Robinson. The other Robinson was Keith Robinson. He went to Grover. So Ray Hall went to McKinley. Curtis Aiken went to Bennett. Richie Campbell started at a school called DeSales. And then he transferred over to Burgard, where he teamed up with Marcus Whitfield, also known as Ice Cream. There was also Chris Williams, who was a star at Traditional. And then that led the way for Jason Rowe and Damian Foster at Buffalo Traditional. I've interviewed Jason Rowe right here on this channel, and I've done print interviews with Jason and Damien on my blogging platform, the Big Words blog site. But those are just some of the Yale Cup. Those are the top Yale Cup players. There were also other players in some of the private school leagues and some of the suburban leagues. And probably the most notable private school player was Christian Laettner. So when I really started watching basketball, and I started watching it late to have wanted to play it as much as I wanted to play it, I didn't study it early on. And again, there were no men around. But when I started watching, one of my first years watching NCAA basketball was the year that Duke upset North Carolina, and that team was led by Christian Laettner. And it turned out, in doing my research, Christian Laettner was a really, really big deal. They were all big deals, but I just didn't know about them. And so right around that time, I was a Chicago Bulls fan, and that was the late 80s. And the Pistons, the Bulls hadn't overtaken the Pistons yet, and the Pistons made it to the NBA Finals to defend their title in the 89-90 season. And meeting up with them in the NBA Finals that year were the Portland Trailblazers. And the Portland Trailblazers had a rookie named Cliff Robinson. And gradually I started to hear that this Cliff Robinson had played at UConn, the University of Connecticut in the old Big East under Jim Calhoun. And now he played for the Portland Trailblazers. And then as I heard more, I heard that this Cliff Robinson played at Riverside. He played his high school ball at Riverside, which coincidentally is my mother's high school. So Cliff had Buffalo roots. And as I've been doing more research for my book project, had I been more in the basketball scene, had probably had my uncles stayed around town, and if I had hung around Delaware Park a little more, I probably would have seen Cliff at Delaware Park, because what I've been hearing is that he played. For those of you who are not from Buffalo, New York, Delaware Park was the main hub for basketball. Anybody who was anybody wanted to play at Delaware Park, and from what I hear, the competition at Delaware Park was very fierce. So Cliff played at Riverside. He played at UConn. He played for the Trailblazers, and he bounced around teams a little bit. I'm going to leave an article from the New York Post in the description box below, discussing the many teams that he played for. But when I was at the University of Michigan, obviously the NBA team there in southeastern Michigan is the Detroit Pistons. And so the Pistons, as they were rebuilding, at some point Joe Dumars signed Uncle Cliffy. I remember Mitch Albom calling Cliff Uncle Cliffy. And Uncle Cliffy started for the Pistons during that period before Larry Brown took over, and they brought in the core of Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, and Tayshaun Prince. So Cliff, I think he might have played his last days with the Pistons. And, I watched him on TV from Ann Arbor, and it was like, oh, there's Cliff Robinson. He's from Buffalo. And the article in the New York Post states that now he just passed at 53, which is today is young. But the article states that Cliff had been dealing with some health issues in his last years. So he had a stroke, and I think he had, it says he has some cancer in his jaw or something like that. But he, so it's not quite clear. I haven't heard what exactly he died from. I don't know if it was COVID or if it was complications from something else. But I just wanted to shoot this video. Cliff is a Buffalo basketball legend. And in the article, the New York Post article, Jim Calhoun says that Cliff was the first great UConn basketball player under his tenure. And that's amazing, thinking about all of the great UConn players who went through Storrs, Connecticut. You know, you think about Donyell Marshall, you think about Ray Allen, you think about Rip Hamilton, you think about Emeka Okafor, Kemba Walker, Jeremy Lamb. All those guys were UConn Huskies. And so Cliff was, according to this article and according to Jim Calhoun, Cliff was his first great player there. So, you know, that's something to be proud of for Cliff and for our city. There were only, I was telling my mother that there were only a handful of Western New York players who made it to the NBA. Of course, going way back to her generation, she brought up Bob Lanier. But, you know, there's Cliff, and there's Trevor Ruffin. Jason Rowe played overseas. Christian Laettner played at Nichols. He wasn't from the Yale Cup, but he made it to the NBA. And there were only, and I think there are 2 kids from Niagara Falls who made it as well. I think Johnny Flynn and Paul Brown. I think they made it to the NBA as well, but don't quote me on that. But there were only a handful of players from the Yale Cup, again, which is our city basketball league, that made it to the NBA. So Cliff is in some pretty elite company. So I just wanted to shoot this short video remembering Cliff Robinson. Now I have to tell this funny story, and I hope my brother doesn't mind, but apparently, or allegedly, according to my brother, my brother's first job was at the Homestyle Family Buffet out on Niagara Falls Boulevard, and everyone from Western New York knows where that is. That's out in proximity of the Boulevard Mall. So according to my brother, Cliff and his family came in one day, and my brother recognized him, and it's hard to miss a 6'8", 6'10" guy who plays in the NBA. But according to my brother, my brother was bussing and doing dishes and cleaning the restaurant. My brother approached Cliff for an interview, and according to my brother, Cliff said, "You know what? I'm eating with my family." So that's a story that we always laugh about that. And so that's my brother's Cliff Robinson story, and that'll probably be my Cliff Robinson story, as that's my brother. So in any case, I'm going to stop this here. If you're from Buffalo and you have memories of Cliff, if you were in any of the NBA cities that Cliff played in, if you went to UConn and you have memories of Cliff, if you played at Riverside, any of that, if you have any comments or stories about Cliff Robinson, please leave those in the comment section below. Rest in power, Cliff. Go Frontiers. Go Riverside Frontiers. Go UConn Huskies, and all the other teams that you played for in the NBA. So I'm going to stop this video here. Please like it. Please share it. And please subscribe to my channel. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.